Our guest today is the one and only Lauren De Laguna. How are you?
I'm great. I'm so honored to be here. How are you?
Absolutely awesome. I was on your channel, what, a month ago, 2 months ago, somewhere around there? Somewhere between a
Yeah.
month and 2 months ago. We had a great time. And I wanted to have Lauren on here to introduce everybody to her and to promote her channel a little bit, get her stuff out there. But in the meantime, we got caught up in this very, very interesting case. We're going to be talking about this case at the beginning, and then we'll pop back in and talk a little bit more about you, who you are, what you're doing here, and what the future holds for you. But as I've been saying, this is an incredibly interesting case. When you
Hmm.
first pitched it to me, like I said, I'm all right, whatever. If that's what you want to talk about. But then you were on Rekieta Law with Nick Rekieta, and I was listening to it and thinking, okay, well, this is something that might be interesting to look into. I started to look into it, watching some stuff from Court TV, looking at some news reports, and I can see there is some major issues in this case.
Yeah.
Big umbrella summary. Cop dies at a cop's house at a cop party full of a bunch of cops, and the murder is investigated by the cops that attended that party, and they decided that his girlfriend did it.
Yeah. Who was the girlfriend who wasn't even at the house, mind you. So
Yeah.
the story is Boston police officer John O'Keefe and his girlfriend Karen Reed. They were going out to the bars, and when they had gone out to the bars, they had ran into her name's Jennifer McCabe, and she was part of that police group. So there was other police. Yeah, there
No,
were other
keep
there
going.
were other police out in Boston from Boston cops out drinking that night, and John O'Keefe was kind of just like a low tier top, and these were
Yeah.
ladder climbers type people. So he got invited, and he wasn't. He didn't really know all the people. So Karen decided that she didn't want to go to the party, but she would drop off her boyfriend.
Well, let's set up the cast of characters here. The case itself is the Commonwealth of Massachusetts against Karen Reed.
Mm-hmm.
Karen's boyfriend is the victim in this case, and his name is
John O'Keefe.
John. And so John and Karen are boyfriend and girlfriend. He's a police officer.
Mm-hmm.
And there's a party. This party was at whose house?
Brian Albert's house. Brian Albert is a police officer, so a Boston cop. So they would have some sort of a working relationship, but they actually really didn't know each other that well. The owner of the house has a brother, and his brother is married to Jennifer McCabe. So Jennifer McCabe is the connection to that house and to John O'Keefe.
And this was a police officer's party.
Yeah, I mean, it just happened.
Or it was just a party that happened to be attended by a bunch of police officers. It wasn't an official department get together things. It was just all of the officers getting together, and Jennifer is the link between all of this.
Yeah, and there were other people at the party as well, including Brian Albert's kid, Chris Albert, and some of his friends. And so there were at least 11 people at the party. So what happened was Karen dropped off John O'Keefe at the party. She drove away. She drove back to her house. She noticed that he didn't come home very late. So she's
okay. Now let's take a little bit one more step at a time. There's been reports that they were having an argument before, or they were having a fight apparently before this started. What can you tell us about that?
So from my understanding, the only argument that they had was over a bowl of cereal like the day before. It wasn't even. And also you could see throughout the night, this is a loving couple on top of each other. There's video from the bar. I actually haven't seen this myself, but what I have heard about the video from the bar is this couple is PDA all over each other. They just weren't in a combative state at the time of the fight. And even that fight that they're alleging to happened prior to them going out. So
So she took them there. If they were having, maybe if they were having a fight, she probably wouldn't drive him off to a party. So, but she takes him to the party. And what time does she realize he doesn't come home? Do you recall?
I don't remember the exact time she left the party. I want to say around 2 something. I forget the exact time. But she starts texting people who were at the party, specifically Jennifer McCabe. And she drives over to Jennifer McCabe's house. They take Jennifer McCabe's car. They go to another house. They take a different car, and they start driving around.
And why were they driving around?
They're looking for John O'Keefe. They're
because
looking for him
he hadn't come home by 2 o'clock in the morning, and she was wondering where he was at.
And it's only a 3-mile distance between their houses. So she was thinking, what happened to him? And oh, mind you, this is a blizzard. It is cold outside. It is ice cold outside. It is snowing. So at this time in the car, while these women are together, it's hard to know what was said, because we have testimony from the 2 women in the car saying that Karen was saying, oh, did I accidentally hit him? Is it possible? Did I hit him?
Okay, you got to back up. We skipped a lot of real estate there. Okay, go back to where they're driving around town.
Yeah,
they're just looking for him because he hadn't been answering his phone call. He hadn't been answering any messages.
Right. And so
she's with Jennifer.
And from my guess with this whole case is I think they started putting things in her head even before they found the body. I think they started putting things in her head that he was injured, dead, and that she could possibly be involved. So
Jennifer was doing this. While they were driving around.
Right. So
she went to Jennifer's house, picked up Jennifer, and was driving around, or did Jennifer pick her up and they were driving around?
She went over to Jennifer's house and picked up Jennifer and was driving around. And then they went over, I'm blanking on the other woman's name. They went over to a second woman's house, and it was her car that they were driving around looking for John O'Keefe in. When they passed John O'Keefe's body, it was Karen Reed who was the one who saw him,
where was his body?
Yeah, his body was on a grass knoll just right outside of the house of that party.
Where he was originally dropped off.
Where he was originally dropped off. So what the prosecution's claim is that she dropped him off at the party and then did a 3-point turn and somehow backed into him, killing him, and then drove away.
Now that's an important thing, killing him before he even went into the party.
Yes, that is extremely important. The prosecutors are claiming that he was dead before he ever went to the party, and they interviewed people. Trooper Proctor interviewed people at the party. Didn't go into the party though, and they all said that John O'Keefe never went into the party. And there's so many issues with this. I think the main one, I know what you're
Well, I know we're getting there. So they're driving past the house where the original party occurred, and not the girlfriend, not Karen, but the Jennifer, she looks out the window and sees his
Karen.
body.
Karen is the one who
Karen saw the body. Okay.
But here's the thing, what people are speculating is that it would have been nearly gosh darn impossible to have not seen the body, for Karen to have been the first person to see the body, considering it was outside of the party house and there were so many people at that party. So what people are speculating is that the 2 other women in the car were just kind of like avoiding looking for the body, so that everything was Karen. Everything was on Karen. She was the one who found the body. Maybe she knew where it was because maybe she hit him. Maybe it was they wanted to make her the one who found everything. So she finds the body. She starts trying to do CPR, trying to take care of it.
So now this was about 5 a.m., if I recall correctly, somewhere around there. So he's been outside for 5-6 hours, maybe, or more. I can't remember the time.
Yeah. So she would have allegedly hit him like at midnight, around midnight.
So it'd
So
be 6 hours, somewhere around there. You say it's a blizzard. Do we know the temperature?
it was, I do not know the exact temperature, but it was freezing. And the reason that is important is because I don't want to skip ahead, but somebody does a really interesting Google search about how long it would take to die in the cold. So
I think you just skipped ahead. so, so you say she sees him and she gets out of the car and she's trying to do CPR, whatnot, checking, and can continue the story there. So what happens after that?
So then the police come, and the way that they handled everything is just so odd. So they took the blood and they collected the blood in solo cups for evidence, and they later went. So Karen, at this point, her car was at her parents' house. So they had taken her car, they put it in police custody. They were interviewing the people at the party. The people at the party were saying that, well, Karen said that she may have hit him, and John O'Keefe didn't go into the house, and yada yada. And so she gets charged, and then you flash forward to 15 months later, and now she has these top tier defense attorneys from California, big bosses, and they start from the very beginning. Like, okay, if I'm doing a murder investigation, what's the first place I'm going to start? The body. So they look at the body. I don't know if you want to pull up a picture of it, but John O'Keefe has.
We'll watch some of these videos here in a little bit. So, but let's just explain what's happening here now. So they look at his body.
Yeah. So John O'Keefe has this gnarly gash on the back of his head, and so his cause of death is blunt force trauma or hypothermia, because he died in the cold. So,
and now she very suspiciously has a broken tail light on her vehicle. Karen does, and they're saying that she broke the tail light when she hit him.
Yeah, they also have one strand of hair on that bumper as well. So they're saying that he broke the tail light somehow with his head and then died. But the problem is the gash is right here. So so if you were trying to if you were trying to get hit in the back of the head with a tail light, I don't even know how it would be possible to only hit the back of your head and not get any other marks, because his body had no other marks other than the back of his head. And then his face appeared as if he had been in a boxing ring, just black eyes, bruises everywhere. And then the craziest injury of all, and the one that hurts the prosecution's case the most, is an unbelievable amount of dog bites, or some sort of animal clawing and marking.
What appear to be dog bites.
What appear to be.
We'll look at those in a minute here. Yeah.
But I'm an untrained medical examiner, because the medical examiner said that this was road abrasions.
As someone who has massive amounts of road abrasion from more than several, like 1, 2, 3, at least 4 motorcycle accidents over the course of my life, I ain't never had road rash that looked like that.
Right. And the crazy thing is, I see a comment, she must have been going pretty fast in order to cause that. Exactly. Yeah. And she didn't even have the space to cause that. There were multiple. Yeah.
There's the problems with apparently they said it was during a 3-point turn or a turnaround where you're not going to be at high speeds. There was also no pieces of tail light found anywhere near the scene where this allegedly happened.
Until later.
Well, yeah, at the time of the initial investigation, nothing was found. The marks on the arms weren't noted. But then when did they start noticing other pieces of evidence they hadn't previously noticed? Such as
so after they cleared the body and everything was gone, and the crime scene should have been cleared, Fortunately, it was either Proctor or Lank, but one of these officers working on the case was driving by and just happened to notice a glimmer of light in the distance and noticed that, oh, that's probably the broken tail light relating to my case, and I need to pull over and get. That was 2 hours after the body was removed, and this is after it's been snowing even more.
Mhm.
So the body would have been removed, the snow would have been falling on top of it, so it would be even harder to find this alleged taillight. But they found.
Plus, red or orange plastic isn't really known to be glimmering in the sunlight.
Yeah, that's also true. I just that is also true. So so there's all of that, and then so the defense team starts looking at this body, noticing all of these things, and then they start trying to collect cell phone data, data from John O'Keefe's devices, such as his Apple Watch, such as and also Karen Reed's phone, and
of course all of the police officers that were at that party are being very cooperative and turning over all of their cell phone data, aren't they?
No, so yeah.
No, they're not, are they? Yeah.
Not only are they not turning over cell phone data, they had Ring cameras. They had a Ring camera at their house, just wasn't working, of course. And then
but of course, the prosecution is fulfilling their disclosure obligations and disclosing all of this voluntarily to the defense, right?
Yikes. That's yikes. No, not even kind of, not even sort of kind of. It's really bad. It is really bad. The prosecution has learned about things almost a year before the defense. And then when the defense brings it up in court, the prosecutor's like, that's not even evidence. The perfect example is the Google search I already alluded to.
Well, I mean, this is so interesting and so fascinating. We actually forgot to do a quick introduction for you. Who are you and why are you here? let's do the couple of minute introduction. We dove really headfirst into this because it's such a fascinating case. What is you? Give us the 2-minute breakdown of who Lauren De Laguna is and your journey through the law, and what is it about this case that fascinates you?
Okay. Well, my name's Lauren De Laguna. That's not my real name, but it's my YouTube name. And I'm from Laguna Beach, which is where I got that name. I studied math in college, and then I went to law school, and I graduated last year. And I just passed the Florida bar. I'm still working on character and fitness before I become an attorney. And
when is the swearing in ceremony?
I don't even know. I'm just working on. I don't even know because I haven't gotten past character and fitness yet, so I don't know yet.
You'll get through it.
Yeah. So then, and so I started a YouTube channel because, studying for the bar and doing law school is like so time consuming. And then when all of a sudden you don't have any of that work anymore, any of that workload, your time is so free. So I started doing this, and I've been really enjoying it. I've been doing mostly interviews so far. I haven't really been doing case analysis so much, but this case I find fascinating.
Why is that? How did this case come into your radar? How did this get on your radar screen, first of all?
Well, I'm friends with Turtle Boy. So Turtle Boy has been the main journalist covering this. TB Daily News is his thing. He's actually really the main journalist covering the story at all. He has all the updates. He even has all the court docs in order for you and blog 26 of this case. So I started following it because of him, but what kept me interested, I guess, is just the lack of injustice. And I feel like I need to see Karen Reed receive justice before. Like, I will go crazy if she does not deserves. I will throw out my law degree. Like that if she is convicted of murder, that's the end of the legal system, in my opinion.
Well, that brings us back to the case. That was a perfect segue to bring us back here to this case. So we've heard that they think she ran over him while she was driving.
Yeah.
Why is this not the case? We've talked a little bit about the lack of taillight pieces until several hours after everything was cleared up and someone happened to be riding by. The strange location of the injury, if he was actually hit by the car, these gouges that are all over his arm that we're going to take a look at here in a minute. What else do we have here? You mentioned a search. Who did a search for what?
So her defense team did it. I think that's the search you're referring to. Her defense team did the search as to like all of the data collecting that they could, trying to get any information about what anyone Googled that night, any cell phone data, anything that they could get. So one of the things that they got was cell phone data, Apple Watch data from John O'Keefe, and they found that he had taken at least 36 steps inside of the house. And
so the victim that never went in the house,
yeah,
his Apple Watch puts him in the house walking around.
Not only that, it also said that he went up 3 flights of stairs. Now, the house itself is only 2 flights of stairs, but if he had been going up and down steps, that could have calculated for 3 flights of steps. And the prosecution is ignoring this. Like, well, I mean, it says 3 flights. Are there 3 flights? So, Apple Watches are wrong. Yeah. It also said he moved post-mortem. So therefore, all of the data is completely...
Yeah, it's not that he could have died later or someone moved him or anything like that. That could never be a possibility.
That's silly. That's silly talk.
There could never have been a fight in the house and then they accidentally punch him in the face. He falls, hits his head on something sharp or hard, dies, and they throw him out in the snow and blame it on somebody else. That would never happen with cops.
No, these are police officers, okay? Yeah. They're on our front lines of defense, so please have some respect.
Yeah. So the Google searches, you mentioned the Google searches.
Yes. So Jen McCabe searched, and now...
And he again is the owner of the house?
No,
this is Jennifer. This is Jennifer.
So Jennifer, yeah. She searches...
I thought you said Ken. Okay, Jen. All right.
Jen. She searches, get this, she's not the brightest tool in the box. So I'm sure what she wanted to search was how long to die in cold, but she searched Haas long to die in cold. And that's important because when she's with when she's with Karen Reed later and they find the body, she does 2 more searches for how long to die in cold. And then when asked about this, she goes, oh, Karen Reed asked me. As soon as we found the body, she was like, oh my God, Google search how long to die in cold. Because that's what you do when you're...
Rather than call 911, Google how long it takes to die in the cold.
Yeah.
But when was the other Google search conducted?
I think it was like 2:30. So it was at the time
before the body was found.
Before she... Right, exactly. And so what we think she was potentially thinking was that if you redo a Google search, it erases your previous thing. But in order to do that, first of all, I'm not sure if that works. And second of all, you have to spell correctly. You have to spell correctly every time. And she didn't spell correctly anytime. So, and the way that the prosecution is dealing with this is insane. They said, well, there's no way that she could have searched how long to die in cold at that time because she had another window open. And that window was for her son's football team. So obviously at 2 a.m., she was looking at the schedule of her son's football team and not Google searching how long to die in cold. And that's just some sort of glitch. It's just a glitch. That didn't happen.
So the fact I currently have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 windows open is impossible.
It is impossible. You're lying to your audience right now. You should apologize. Right.
So yeah, that was one thing they shut it down and said no, she couldn't have done the search because there was a different window open.
Right, and
that's a thing.
In fact, in that video that I sent you, I should have gotten a timestamp. But the prosecutor literally makes that argument in front of the judge. It was embarrassing. Yeah. Yes, the killer was also a cop. I see in the comments. So the killer, like what we're assuming,
Well, yeah.
the alleged people are from this house were also Boston police officers, and the person who died is John O'Keefe is also a Boston police officer.
Yeah,
And then
again, just to recap that initial statement, this was a police officer who died in or near a police officer's house in the middle of the night at a party attended by a bunch of police officers, some of which who were actually the investigating officers of this crime, if I recall correctly.
I don't think any of the people in the house,
Oh,
none of
okay.
the people actually
All right.
in the house were
Oh, okay. All right.
investigating. However,
Because that would be weird.
Proctor is close family friends with the people. There's like with Jen McCabe and Ryan Albert. They're close family friends, and they're all over each other's social medias.
Yeah, they're investigating, and the woman who has been charged with this murder was not even there.
And okay, and he wasn't on duty that night. So he wasn't on duty. He just decided, I want an extra day of policing. I'm going to come in today, and then ran over and took the first job that he can and ran over to the Karen Reed case. And it just seems odd. Why would you go in early to investigate a case that you probably shouldn't be working on because you have a conflict of interest in the first place? So there's that. I mean, there's so much evidence that is just missing. Another piece of evidence that is missing, we talked about the tail light earlier.
Yes.
So there's a library. So the library in Canton, she drove by that library with her taillight. According to her taillight would have been intact at this time, because there is a video of her breaking her taillight when she goes out to look for John O'Keefe.
We're going to show that video soon too, as well. I think maybe we should show some of the videos, but
sure.
I mean, go ahead. Let's sort of finish the narrative here, and then we'll do that. I'm sorry to interrupt.
No worries. The defense team asked, okay, well, can we have that library footage where it would have shown her driving by in between the time that, so after she dropped him off at the party and going home. So we want to see that footage so we could see her taillight intact, and that will completely upend the prosecutor's argument. So unfortunately, the 5 minutes that she was driving by, that just happens to be the only time that footage doesn't work. Isn't that just so frustrating? It is so frustrating.
It worked before and after. Is that what you're saying?
It worked before and after, and they have the footage of before and after. They just have a cut in the middle of like 5 minutes long.
I was not aware of that one.
Yeah.
But I do know that apparently, as you were saying, later they mentioned and we'll see the pictures here, that his arm is cut up by something which looks suspiciously like animal bites or teeth. And how could it possibly be an animal bite?
Right. So the prosecutor has come at this multiple ways. So in the house, Ryan Albert, he owned a German Shepherd. But we should completely forget about that, because once again, he didn't even go into the house, right? And
well,
Ryan
okay,
Albert,
then. Okay.
Ryan Albert, this dog is a 6-year-old dog, right? It's a family dog, been in this family for 6 years. He just got rid of it. As soon as the defense team started getting involved and asking about the arm injuries, he got rid of the family dog.
And I believe there was a motion hearing just a couple of weeks ago where the defense was demanding that the court order them to reveal where this dog is. And the court accepted that. The court ruled that they have to now reveal where that dog is.
I think they're going to be slimy about it and be like, oh, we just gave it to somebody somewhere on Craigslist or a stranger or something, because, just get rid of the dog. But the reason that the defense wants that dog is because they do have the arm still in like the medical exam, and they asked for DNA to be preserved. So if that dog's DNA is on his arm and they can match it to that dog specifically, I mean, there's so many other things. So for instance, yeah,
there is the prosecution explanation, if I recall correctly, and correct me if I'm wrong, because I certainly wouldn't want to be the spreader of wrong information. They're saying that she went into the house at some point. That Karen went into the house at some point.
I don't think so. From my
But they're
understanding,
saying that she showed up with a cocktail glass.
yes. So this magical traveling cocktail glass. They said that Karen Reed showed up to the bars with like a vodka. And keep in mind, Karen Reed is a beautiful the college professor, not just college educated, college professor. Like she's not the type probably to be carrying around glasses from home full of vodka to go to bars, right? So they were making her out to be this drunk. She's carrying this cocktail glass everywhere.
And when was this? When was the cocktail glass being carried into the bars?
Oh, it's a magical traveling cocktail glass. This is the cocktail glass. It went like from the beginning of the night. This cocktail glass allegedly stayed with Karen Reed and John O'Keefe all throughout the night. And this is where it gets really interesting.
Okay, so they were at bars. They were at various bars before they went to the party at the house, before she dropped him off at the house party.
Right. So they're saying they went to all the bars with this cup from their home, this cocktail glass.
And then how many bars have you ever been in your life where the bar let you bring in your own glass, not just a plastic cup, not even a solo cup, a glass from your own car, whatever? You're carrying your own glass into a bar. How many bars on earth have you ever been in that would let you do that?
I've never heard that, like literally never. Yeah. I've worked as a bartender too. I've worked as a bartender, and I could imagine that could get enough to shut your bar down for at least a month. I would imagine it's like there's codes. You're not allowed to. You have to serve people and cut them off at a certain amount, and if they're drinking whatever from wherever, you have no control over that. And so,
are there any videos of her walking into any bars holding a glass in her hand?
So there are videos of them at the bar. It hasn't been released yet. So I don't know if there's like video of the entrance of the bar or just them at the bar. I do know there's video of them at the bar, like expressing a lot of PDA, but I'm not sure. All I know is there's testimony that she's been sneaking this cocktail glass into various bars.
I have snuck in flasks of whiskey into bars, much better whiskey or vodka than they're serving at the bars, and you just kind of pour a little bit in. So I've done that, but never been in a single bar in my life that let me bring in a glass, like a glass made of glass, into a bar.
That'd be hysterical. That'd be so funny. No, you cannot. I've never heard of that. But this cocktail glass is really important because that's what the prosecution is going to later try to blame on the scratches on John O'Keefe's arm. So they do these, like, they have a variety of ideas to try to get these scratches explained away. One of them is that John O'Keefe. So now Karen has passed the cup on to her boyfriend, and now he's holding this chalice, and as he's putting his head down so that she could hit him perfectly in the back of the head from behind, he perfectly knocked this cocktail glass in such a way to cause the scratches on his arm.
As you'll see, that he somehow broke the glass and made, I guess we can count them later, 8 or 10 gouges in his arm. And then, of course, all of the pieces of broken cocktail glass were right there next to the body when the police came. Correct?
No, and also there's also no glass in his arm. Like, isn't that kind of, or if his arm is going to be caused by either road rash or glass, isn't there going to be either road or glass in his arm? That's what I would think. But
like I said, anecdotally speaking, I've had bits of gravel pulled out of my elbow with a wire brush and green soap, antiseptic soap. Yeah. Okay, so this broken glass thing, there was no glass in the wound, no glass on him, and no glass anywhere near the site. But yet there was 2 or 3 hours later some a
Then they
piece
found
of
all.
plastic found. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
Right.
And I also saw in the comments, and this is true too. I'm not sure if you heard this. Did you know that Alberts also refloored all of their flooring? Just got a whole brand new basement. Just like
The house where this
the
did not
house
occur.
incident did, yeah. And they also
So he never came into the house. As soon as they start asking about the dog, they get rid of the dog, and they just randomly decide to change all of their flooring.
not only change their flooring, literally tear up their old flooring and get rid of it, and then get new flooring. Seems a bit excessive.
It seems like there's some questions that need to be answered.
Yeah, the Alberts and Melissa's really hitting it. And they also filled their pool as well. It just because you have a nice pool middle of the summer. You know what most people like to do with pools in the middle of the summer? Fill them with cement.
Because they wanted to protect their children?
Of course, yeah. Drowning is a major issue,
Yeah.
and they clearly care about their 18-year-old high school football star son potentially drowning. So,
so he's not a 2-3-year-old wandering around a potential hazard.
He acts like it a little bit online when I don't know if you've seen a picture of him, but you literally cannot. It's weird. It's like a chemical effect. You can't put a camera in his sight without him going like this.
Nice.
It's just awful. So that's the kind of guy he is. And,
all right.
Yeah, and he was also.
That's one more thing to add. No, he never made it into the party, but they got rid of a dog. They refloored the house. They filled in a swimming pool. All right. Well, it's kind of weird. I mean, the swimming pool. It was cold that night. I doubt they were swimming in the swimming pool, but
I have no idea how the swimming pool is involved. I have zero. I don't even.
But it's just weird,
But why would you fill your pool in the middle of the summer? I'm sorry. That just seems odd. That just seems beyond.
I wonder if the poor dog is under the cement. Ouch. Well, this kind of gives us a little bit. Now I want to look
at about that. Oh my God, no! Poor Fido.
Well, let's do a little midstream grift here, and then we'll look at some of the video. Currently, we have 393 people watching and 300 likes. So thank you everybody for hitting the like button. Let everybody else know what's going on here and bring them on over to the stream here while we watch the last half of the videos and the other things that we want to talk about. Make sure you hit the like button and please subscribe to my channel if you haven't already done so. I would be honored to have you as a subscriber to the channel. And if you have, again, please just double check to make sure you're still subscribed. But while you're doing it, all of the Vice Squad and everybody here, the regular viewers of me that have not gone over to Lauren De Laguna's YouTube channel, go over there. It's right there. That's her channel name as well. And make sure you subscribe to her channel, like her video, especially the one where she interviewed me a few weeks ago. Make sure you go and like that video, because that's far and away the best video she has on there. But I may be biased. I may be as biased as a Boston prosecutor and cop. I don't know.
Most of my videos are like an 8 or 9, but that video is like an 11.
Absolutely. Just turn it all the way up to 11. Go there to Lauren De Laguna, subscribe to her channel and like her videos. And we have the random Flux super chat. Flux is one of my awesome mods and ride or die peeps. Mocha Dick Poon XOXO, fully adjustable, blow for freedom and Panzer prison. I'm stuck on Aquafina songs now. Thank you so much for that that contribution, Flux. That's Flux's daily normal chat.
I like Aquafina. I could jive with that. That's down. I'm down with it. She's funny.
Oh, Flux is awesome. We love Flux. She is great. And we have a member of 3 months of the Clean and Sober crew, E. Copa, saying, don't forget the kid nephew who had O'Keefe beef at the party.
Yeah.
There's a nephew that had problems at the party. I have not heard of the nephew that had problems.
That's the Colin Albert kid. That's the kid that they think that I'm not quite sure about the beef between them. I hear that those two didn't get along very well, but I'm not sure exactly anything about that personal conflict. I've heard rumors about it, but I just don't know. Especially because there have been some issues with that Colin Albert kid. For instance, there's a picture of him with his knuckles all busted. They look like fresh wounds. People were saying that was days after the Karen Read. Other people are saying that's months after. So I don't know. However, he was definitely at the party and he definitely has an attitude. So I just don't know. I just don't want to young boy of anything because he's 18, right? Like probably 19, 20 now. Just a young kid who's about to be in a shitload of trouble if he was involved somehow.
Well, what I want to do first here is look at this hearing that was held. Was it 2 weeks ago? Yeah, the hearing was held 2 weeks ago, where the defense lawyers are complaining rather vociferously. Hey, that's a good word, vociferously. We should use that word more. That they are being excluded from evidence. Things aren't being provided to them. Things don't make sense. Nothing the prosecution says is making sense, but they have a certain few facts. And one of the facts they bring up is what you were talking about a minute ago, the cuts to the arm. And I just want to show that part of the video here. Mrs. K. Griff says, is this a trial you're going to be covering? Oh, heck yeah. There's another hearing tomorrow or Thursday. I think it's Thursday is the next hearing in this case. But we'll be covering as much of it as we can because this has really caught my interest in the wake of the Murdaugh trial and in the wake of Zachariah Anderson's trial. This is another one of these. It seems to be getting worse, the lack of evidence. Murdaugh, I can kind of go, okay, I see. I do not understand how the jury found Zachariah Anderson guilty of murder. I don't think there's any way possible you could argue that guilt beyond a reasonable doubt was proven. This is a whole new level of I don't get it.
Yeah, when I first started talking to Nick about this, and it's so funny because when I pitched it to you, like you would typically think, okay, she probably wasn't framed. It seems silly. But when I was talking to Nick about it, it's like, do me a favor. Don't read any of the Turtle Boy stuff before Turtle Boy and I come on. Just read the opinions of people who are anti-Karen. And then let Turtle Boy and I talk to you and we'll see. He was like, I cannot see the other side at this point. And that's how I feel. Usually I'm like, oh, I could see both sides. I cannot see the prosecution side anymore. And I guess that's why the federal government, that's why we're having federal indictments now, because they also can't see it.
Well, this is them talking about, this is the defense counsels talking about the arm injuries. Those are the injuries to his arm. So we're looking at 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, about 11, 12, and possibly 13 long streaks that are weirdly paired, almost as if they were canine incisors. And then several puncture wounds.
It doesn't look like glass at all either. It just doesn't.
Yes. So our choices here are, this was somehow from a broken glass that made these marks. They were from defensive wounds from a knife and or animal of some sort, or it's road rash.
Right.
Just gut feeling, I kind of got to go towards animal and defensive wounds.
I think they're really in trouble here too, because you can tell when wounds are post-mortem or not. So these aren't post-mortem. So they can't even say she hit him with his car and then an animal came by and started coming. Like that won't work. So,
Well, let's listen to what the defense lawyers have to say.
he had this set of wounds on his right arm.
Only
The
his
medical
right arm.
examiner indicated that these wounds were concomitant with his death in terms of the temporal, the time that he died. These were wounds that he suffered at or near the time that he died. And the Commonwealth looks at these wounds and says, there's nothing to see here. Why are we looking at this? This is, you're following a red herring, basically. This is just a road rash.
That was the medical examiner's determination, was road rash.
That's why this seems so fake at first. That's why for 2 minutes, it's hard to take care inside, because think about all of the people who had to be involved in this cover up, including the flipping medical examiner. So it's just so hard. But then when you look at it, how could the medical examiner not be full of crap? Looking at
road rash in the snow on grass.
Right. From getting
at
hit
slow
in
speeds.
reverse at a slow speed. Right.
This means nothing. It has no impact on our case one way or the other. This is, according to the Commonwealth, simply a set of injuries that John O'Keefe suffered at the hands of being struck by a moving vehicle. Well, first, I would ask the common sense question, does this look like a road rash?
No.
I mean, the court's got years, decades of experience, life experience and legal experience. Of course, this doesn't look like a road rash. It's not a road rash that any of us have ever seen. Or does it look more like claw marks and bite marks from an animal?
Yeah, I kind of got to go with that one.
I'm seeing in the comments, people are saying it's not teeth marks.
Well, see, I mean, you have some puncture wounds over here, and those could very well be claw marks because they're close together and whatnot. But there are puncture wounds, what appear to be puncture wounds in this. I guess you can't really see my tiny little cursor, but
actually, so my dog, I have a tiny little 20-pound dog, and I was walking him the other day, and a pit bull, like a pit bull mix, came out of nowhere, off leash, and attacked my dog. Really bit him, tried to shake him, tried to kill him. I beat the crap out of that pit bull and saved my dog and ran to the vet. But point being is, when I looked at the bite marks on my dog, they look really similar to the mark here. It's just like the hole, because like they just puncture in and then they could tear away. But if they just get the puncture and then they release, it's going to leave like a hole similar to it.
Which is exactly what they are. Second, if it was a road rash, where's the rest of the road rash? John O'Keefe had one set of injuries like this. Deep scratches, deep puncture wounds on his arm, on his right arm only, from mid-biceps to mid-forearm and no other place. For instance, mid-biceps and mid-forearm that you might put in front of your face or your body if a large animal was attacking you, resulting in these wounds. Why are the wounds confined just to his right arm? What about all the other pointy bits of a human body? If someone is rolled under a car or rolled in gravel because of the car, what about the shoulders? What about the knees? What about the ankles? What about the elbows? None of that exists. These are the only wounds. They're confined to his right arm, and they're deep scratch wounds, puncture wounds that are indicative of claw marks and bite marks from a large animal. And third,
so that's again, he lays out these things, and all of this, as you can see here from the caption, is under the argument that the prosecution is not turning over evidence, exculpatory evidence. They're not turning over potentially exculpatory evidence, the phone records, the other investigation records. But again, if we look at this, you can see starting from the top. These, to me, the first two look like scratch marks. The next set look like scratch marks. From there, it looks like bite marks and puncture wounds to me. There's some puncture wounds here, some puncture wounds. It could be some teeth there, and maybe some scratches. But what it does not look like to me is broken glass or road rash.
I don't know how you can possibly sign your name to that as a medical examiner. Like, I mean, I'm not a medical examiner, obviously, and you're not. So are we wrong to be even speculating when the expert has declared that?
No, because most medical examiners aren't experts. That you don't even have to, in most places, as I understand, you don't even have to be a doctor to be a medical examiner.
That's interesting.
And they're elected positions in a lot of places.
Dang, how did I really did
Well, I mean,
not
the coroners, the county coroners, I should say. So like coroner's office.
an office too? Like, oh, interesting. I hope you would
Yeah,
know.
I meant to say coroners, not medical examiners. But
You're not like performing autopsies with no training, right?
Alpha Fox Adam says it is false that coroners are elected. No, I'm actually correct. Yeah, Rosman Ranch. I corrected myself. Yeah.
Oh, I hate when you make like a small little thing, and then that's
yeah.
the whole...
I corrected myself. So there you go.
Yeah.
Before you sent the chat. So continue. I'm sorry.
I have no idea how you could possibly sign your name to that. It's just embarrassing. When you start.
Yes, we know, Adam. We corrected that. Alpha Fox Adam. We corrected that. I corrected that before you sent the message. Move along.
Illegal vices. Did you know that you were wrong like 2 seconds ago about when it was actually not adult? I'm just kidding. But I think it's embarrassing. And then when you start going back and counting all of the people involved in this case and how many had to be involved in the cover up, it seems like a conspiracy. And that was one of the things that quite annoying, actually, the day that hearing was with the prosecutor making up all the BS. He kept referring to it as like, oh, well, the defense conspiracy theory is this. And in order for the defense conspiracy theory, all of these people would have to want to lie. And I mean, why would everybody at the party have the same story if that wasn't true? That the prosecutor literally said.
I'm sorry to interrupt you here, but seems Alpha Fox Adam has a bee up his butt here. He says, nope, I typed it before you corrected. Own it. You're on a 20-second delay. I said it about 20 seconds before you typed it. So what I'm saying right now, you're going to hear in about 20 seconds. So, no, sorry. Now move along. I'm sorry. Sorry to interrupt you there. Continue.
Chat is always great. I love chat. They're always the funniest.
But we're not going to acknowledge them. We could continue. Sorry.
No, the prosecutor literally said in front of the judge, deadpan, why would all of these people testify that John O'Keefe didn't go into the house if he actually did go into the house? Oh, I don't know. Maybe because they don't want to be charged with murder or what? So it's quite funny that it's hard to imagine all of these people working together to not only cover up a murder, but to frame an innocent woman. That's the most horrendous thing. Because not only did the medical examiner have to say, oh, it doesn't seem like a dog bite. It seems like a road rash. So she had to have known what was being accused of the cause of death before she came to that conclusion. And I have heard that I guess different municipalities do this differently. Sometimes the coroner knows, or the medical examiner. I actually really don't know which one's which. So I think it's funny that you're getting shit for that. But they sometimes are given all of the data that the police have, like pictures at the crime scene, police reports, witness testimony. They sometimes get all that. And other municipalities, from my understanding, get none of that. So that they literally just have the body and have to determine the cause of death from what they think based off the wounds on the body. And I think that's a much, much, much better system in order to prevent you from getting ideas planted in your head before you even look at the wounds. So
right. And one of the interesting things is we know that people at other places such as Law and Crime or Court TV can tend to be a little sensational. Court TV isn't as bad as Law and Crime, I think, as far as the headlines. the sensational reports, the biased reporting. But they did an episode of closing arguments on this. It's about 15 minutes long. I think we can look at a few pieces as we go through. It kind of gives a little bit of the story, and then there's a panel discussion where they show the video of her where the defense is saying shows her breaking her tail light.
Yeah, that's an important video.
Let's see. Right, this is our court TV, folks.
Let's talk about the case that we're talking about tonight, which is in Massachusetts. The defendant was the girlfriend of the victim. The victim, a Boston police officer, dead in a snowbank. She's accused of the murder, striking him with her car. But the defense has a whole different theory about what happened here. I'm not calling it a conspiracy theory like in the negative way, but it's a theory involving a conspiracy. Okay, there's a difference. There's a difference. There's no one like landing from Mars or anything. There's a difference. But they are alleging some sort of a conspiracy. Now, for those of you who don't know what this story is, you need some more facts. Chanley Painter has the story.
John O'Keefe was a good cop, and he was a good man. That's why my client was with him.
Karen Reed is accused of causing the death of her boyfriend, Boston police officer John O'Keefe, after a night of heavy drinking. Prosecutors claim Reed backed her car into O'Keefe during a snowstorm and left him to die.
Okay, and on that issue, no, Trans Roof Korean is saying, can someone who's willing to toss it? You know, we addressed that at the beginning. We don't know what the temperature was. I don't know what it was, and
I know Aiden put it in on TV Daily News. He has like all of that, like the minute details. He has, I think, 37 articles on just this case now. He gets into what John O'Keefe's brother was thinking at the time, because John O'Keefe's brother still thinks Karen Reed is guilty. And a lot of John's family thinks it's guilty. He gets into the temperatures. He gets into like the minute exact details.
Yeah, so that's as we mentioned at the beginning when we were talking about that. Neither one of us really have that information here right now, so it's going to be wild speculation. I'm sorry you broke up there.
At the top of my head, no. Yeah. But it was definitely like sub-freezing.
I have no idea. I've just seen the security camera, which shows a hell of a lot of snow falling. All right, so let's continue as long as we're talking about the snow here.
But Reed's defense says the Commonwealth has it all wrong.
With each new piece of evidence that comes in, we're more and more convinced of my client's innocence.
O'Keefe's snow-covered body was found outside the home of another officer in Canton, Massachusetts. According to the prosecution's statement of the case, the couple was invited to the house after the bars in downtown Canton.
Now, on this picture, do you know where the body was found?
It was found on the grass, like on the ground. I don't know specifically, like longitudinally where it was, but it was not on the dirt. It was on grass, which how do you hit somebody and have them land fully on the grass? It was over by, actually, this isn't a great picture of where his body was, because there was a flagpole. There should be a flagpole in the image to show. Yeah, Melissa knows her stuff. She's following the case. Yeah, it was by a flagpole, which is not in this picture.
Let's see if we can go back to the front of the house here. Let's see if we can see the flagpole.
We're more and more convinced of my client's innocence.
O'Keefe's snow-covered body was found outside.
Maybe they took the flagpole down too. I don't see a flagpole. Unless this is the flagpole here in front of the garage.
No. It was like to the house.
Oh, you broke like up a little bit again.
Oh, give me. Can you hear me now?
Yes.
Okay. Let me just plug my laptop in really quick. Let me continue playing this. I thought it was
Okay.
plugged in.
All right. Well, we'll just we'll keep playing the video here.
The home of another officer in Canton, Massachusetts. According to the prosecution's statement of the case, the couple was invited to the house after the bars in downtown Canton closed. Witnesses told investigators they last saw the couple at the Waterfall Bar and Grill.
This was the last place they were seen. Let's say in chat, we have people asking, why do they talk like that? Mr. Enzo says, why do they talk like that? That's actually a broadcaster school thing. People are actually taught how to talk like that when reporting the news. It's the cadence that news reporters are supposed to give their news stories in. It's a thing. We have Nicholas Starov. Trial watch. Those cops standing up in the background need to sit their arses down or get the fork out of court. Well, you know, that's their security there, because she just might make a break for it.
That was funny. I saw a comment when we were playing the video of the court, and you could see the officers in the background looking nervous as sin.
Yeah, they're standing around there. But okay, so this Waterfall Bar and Grill was the last place they were seen together.
Right, where she was sneaking in the magical cocktail glass.
Others said they saw a black SUV resembling Reed's parked outside the house, but never saw O'Keefe come inside. Reed told investigators that she dropped him off at the after party and never heard from him again.
She went home to take care of the kids, and then she called him 49 times. Where are you? Why aren't you back? She was the one to go back to that residence to look for him. She was the one to find him. She was the one to try.
I think maybe that pole,
this one right here, and next to the garden area looking thing.
For a second, I thought it was, but it's not. I'm wrong.
It looks like it's kind of like a corner garden stake marker. Yeah. Anyway, it was found near a flagpole that we can't see.
Yes.
No.
And keep him warm and give him CPR and try and revive him.
But Norfolk County prosecutors question those actions. They claim voicemails and text messages detail strains in the relationship and the victim's desire to end their relationship, including a voicemail from the night he died in which Reed allegedly told O'Keefe that she hated him. Also,
okay, the night of this incident, this was before or after they were out going to all the bars together, before or after that she drove him to the party?
Yeah, so she's looking for him, and she's like, I hate you. Come home. Why aren't you home? What's wrong with you? I'm calling you frantically. I hate that. Like, it was thinking he was alive, searching for him frantically, and getting angry at the fact that he wasn't coming home. It had nothing to do.
That just sounds reasonable.
Yes. Yeah. And then if you want to talk about funky phone calls and funky text messages, I mean, there are Jennifer McCabe is supposedly watching Karen Reed drop off John O'Keefe, and she's texting him like, pull up behind my car, do this, do that. And she's allegedly texting John these things, but it's after after Karen already left. And at this point, John should have been in the house. So it seems like a lot of the text messages that were actually coming from inside the house, those were the scandalous ones, especially if you look at the timeline and the time that he was likely deceased. It appears as if they were the ones inside the house were the people sending the post-mortem text to make it appear as if they didn't know he was deceased.
O'Keefe's niece and nephew who lived with him allegedly told police that the couple fought constantly about the relationship and breaking up before his death. Prosecutors point to a broken taillight on Reed's SUV, pieces of which...
And this is her here in the middle of the background.
Yeah. They also point, I don't know if I mentioned this, but that hair that they found on her taillight, that would have had to survive her driving home. So hit him, drive home, drive to Jennifer McCabe's house, park there in a snowstorm, let snow fall on it, and then find the body, then get back into her car, drive to her parents' house like tons of miles away, and the hair would have had to have just stayed on that bumper the entire time, just in time for Proctor to find it.
Which were allegedly found near O'Keefe's body to suggest she ran her car into him. A forensic pathologist opined that significant blunt force trauma injuries occurred prior to Mr. O'Keefe becoming hypothermic. Cuts and bruises were found on O'Keefe's head and arm.
Cuts and bruises. Oh, that voice is annoying. But now if you were fighting with your significant other, who was a police officer,
Right.
and if you had decided that you were going to off them by running over them, would you do it in a house owned by a police officer that is filled with police officers? That would not be the most rational of decisions.
Probably. I think it's so funny. One of the issues that the prosecutor keeps flip-flopping on is, does he want to make it intentional or accident? Like the charging.
He's charged them with murder, so they're going for intention.
They're going for intention, but at first they were not charged with murder. First it was manslaughter, and they raised it to murder, which I think drastically hurts their case. And then even when they raised it to murder, so what, she wanted to get out of the car. She wanted to cause him injury. That's so much more difficult than, oh, she was drunk. She did a 3-point turn. She went home. But they had to make their impossible case even more impossible. So good on them.
Somebody being hit by a car, I would submit, does not look like they had been punched out by Mike Tyson. And the victim here looked like he had been punched out by Mike Tyson.
Reed's lawyer, David Yannetti, says his client is not responsible for O'Keefe's injuries.
I believe that the evidence shows that she didn't hit him. I've said in the past that his injuries are not consistent with being hit by a vehicle. And by the way, the Lexus taillight braking, coming in contact with a human being and not a hard surface, makes no sense to me. I think it's going to make no sense to a jury.
If not Reed, who? Her lawyer says that there's a lot they still don't know.
This is a case where the homeowner, being a Boston police officer, was treated differently than he would have been if he were you or me.
Well, that's a pretty good initial summary from the breathy news announcer and the defense lawyer. Let's see what our pundits.
Amazing. Yeah.
And let's see what our pundits have. Now, he was Kevin Spacey's lawyer.
Yeah, he
Is
was.
that right?
Yeah. Karen's defense team was also, yes, and got him off on some stuff. So it's nice that he gets actually an innocent client for once that he gets to represent. So if he could do a good job with guilty clients, imagine what you can do with innocent.
Okay, bottom line, this trial hasn't happened. I haven't seen the evidence, so I don't know what happened here. I just know what the prosecution is alleging here. But let's bring in Court TV legal correspondent Chanley Painter to talk about what the defense is alleging here. What is their theory on what happened here?
The defense seems to be indicating a theory based on recent motions that this was a police cover-up, that a dead police officer is found in the front yard of the police officer's home who has a close relationship with the lead investigator on this case. So here are some of those explosive allegations revealed in these recent motions, Vinny. They point the finger, of course, at the homeowner, a Boston police officer, where this after party was held, that he's this highly trained boxer and fighter with these deep personal ties to the investigation agencies of this death, and that he influenced this lead investigator who he knew well. They also—
All right, well, let me start there. Like, I understand, like, they're all police officers.
And it's very, very interesting to hear these legal channel pundits and commentators get really excited about defense arguments. It's not that usual.
Yeah, I mean, when I was watching one of these shows, there's a show that I like to watch where they have attorneys kind of disagree, and they let everybody come to their own conclusions. And usually somebody's on most people are on the prosecutor side, and maybe one person's on the defense side. This time, everybody's like, who wants to take the prosecutor's side? Not I. Nobody is seeing the prosecutor's side clearly.
Police officer party. So, and who investigates murders but police officers. So I get that there could be some crossover there, but okay, so continue here.
Well, there's more. They also allege that these partygoers, a handful of partygoers at this house, colluded with each other. So they got together, got their story straight before they talked to the police, given a consistent account, Vinny. Some even changed their story a little bit after they met together.
Okay, that's not good. I never like changing stories. Okay.
Or added details, not necessarily changed, but just added new details.
A little more info.
And then also this defense suggests that the investigators, again, who know this homeowner really well, planted those broken taillight shards that were found at the crime scene to make it appear that Karen Reed ran over or hit her boyfriend and caused his death.
That's now you've come up with an actual theory. They're covering this up and they are framing someone for murder. They are framing someone for murder. That's what they're alleging, right? With that's what you're alleging.
Yeah, this is
Framing
not
for
me,
murder.
the
Okay.
defense.
Is there anything about why, like how he died, like who killed him? All right, we got the cover up. All right, and I know sometimes.
Well, it'd be interesting to hear what they have to say. What could Court TV come up with for a possible scenario?
It's about the cover up. Anything about how he actually died coming from the defense yet?
Floating in these defense motions, they're essentially pointing to this homeowner who we reached out to at Court TV for comment, as well as these investigative agencies haven't heard back. But because of his boxing, fighting, training, like we just heard her attorney say, that this victim looked like he went round and round with Mike Tyson. He had 2 black eyes, multiple skull fractures, wounds to the right, I think it was the right side, but his arm, scratches, like bite marks too. So he had more like been pummeled, according to the defense, than just hit by the vehicle.
All right, but like why? He would do
There are more questions than answers.
Okay.
Well, I would hypothesize, just from the very little that I know about this case, which is essentially watching the hearing 2 weeks ago, seeing you and Turtle on Nick's show, and then watching a few of these news reports. Alcohol is flowing. Dude gets in a fight with the homeowner, who's a boxer, gets the shit beat out of him. He also has a 6-year-old German Shepherd, and who would be protective of his owner. He's getting in a fight with the owner while he's getting the shit beat out of him by the homeowner. The dog comes to his owner's defense and bites him. At some point, he falls, hits his head on something, and they don't want to make it look like that, so they put him out in the snow.
And if you really think about that too, that likely means they knew he wasn't dead at that point. He was just passed out, and they just
throw him out in the snow, get your drunken ass out of here, or whatever it is, and he turns up dead. Now,
long to tie and cold.
That to me is a reasonable explanation as to what happened. That's a reasonable doubt that they're going to have to overcome for me to think that she's guilty of anything.
Right. Let me put it to you, if Chris Albert, if one of them were on trial right now facing this murder, and they wanted to make the argument, well, actually, it was Karen Reed who did it. Do you think that would give enough reasonable suspicion to you
they still have to show me that my theory didn't happen at this point. That's still until you can find a way to explain away my reasonable theory. Bifron says a lot of cooperation for something like that. Are you talking about the police cover up? Or it's a house full of cops saying, let's all do this. They're all there. Oh my God, he died. We need to get our story straight or we're all screwed. Plus they're cops, And the lead investigator was really, really good friends with the homeowner, who may or may not have had something to do with it.
Right.
I don't think it would be that hard of a job for the police to cover that up, to get their story straight and to cover it up.
It wouldn't be, it's just hard because the defense is asking for data. Like, how did Proctor get assigned to this case? Was there a phone call between Proctor and one of the people from inside of the house prior to him being assigned to the case? These are things that I'd love to know, and the defense has been asking for.
Well, now they're going to bring on their panel here in just a minute and review the video footage, which reportedly shows her breaking the tail light.
Mm-hmm.
All right, so we don't have that part of the
Yes.
puzzle, like someone had a beef with him,
Right.
or he owed him money, or he slept with his wife, or he did something else inside. It's really big. How the tail light gets broken could be the key for this whole case for the jury. I don't know.
Well, see, that's the thing. You know, if that's one of the things that the prosecution is staking their case on, that she broke their taillight because there are pieces of taillight found at the crime scene. If that's what I mean, if they go ahead and introduce this into evidence and make this part of their case, and they can show that tail light was broken or was most likely broken at any other point in any other location, that does seem to sink their case to me.
It's like there's so many different elements of this case that can be instantly sunk for prosecution.
Mm-hmm.
You have the dog marks, you have the tail light, you have the library footage, you have Karen Reed's cell phone data that would show that she left prior to him being deceased. You have so many, just too many things that sink their case if you get just a little bit extra proof.
Well, let's look at this video here in a minute when we get to it.
But you have some video tonight.
That's right. Our Court TV team, our producer, obtained exclusively for Court TV video that the defense points to as an alternate explanation as to how this taillight could have been broken, Vinny, not by hitting.
When
the
is this
boyfriend.
video recorded? Where is this video recorded, and what is the time frame according to the timeline?
Next morning. So
The morning after
Yes.
John O'Keefe dies.
well, same day. It was just-
Same day,
Yeah,
but
but
early morning hours.
closer to 5 a.m. Right. He's
Okay.
alleged to have been hit around midnight, 12:15, 12:30.
Okay.
This happens, this video, 5 a.m., a little bit before 5 a.m. Ring camera video from the victim's home where his girlfriend, Reed, was staying the night. So this is what the
So this is her backing out to go look for him.
Yes, at her place. It did completely different, 3 miles away from where the body was found.
And for those of you that are wondering how cold it was, look at the snow. That's how cold it was. I don't know what the temperature is, but that looks really, really, really cold.
But cold.
victim's home where his girlfriend, Reed, was staying the night. So this is what the video, here it is, Vinny. So she's pulling out in the black SUV. And that's the victim's SUV parked. And the defense says that she makes contact, hits the victim's SUV right there.
Which she does.
And it is the right rear tail light that is broken.
The very same one.
About 5 hours after he was supposed to have been hit by her at the party house.
Right, exactly.
So either this happened now, or she was so clever that she realized she hit him. Now she had to back up into the car to hide the fact that her tail light was broken.
Actually, that's really clever. I think you would do a very good job murdering someone and covering it up.
No, I'd suck because they just know I did it. But anyway, they're going to show this in slow motion again.
Yeah.
Damaging that back right passenger side tail light. And they also claim you can see, the victim's SUV move, indicating that there was a collision. And then as she pulls away, they say that you can tell there's missing parts of the tail light.
Right, but it would have been missing if it was a result of striking Officer O'Keefe at that time. Also, here's a closer look at it. Once again, as we're backing up here.
And now I clearly see the other vehicle move when she hits it.
Yeah.
I clearly see contact, and I clearly see the other vehicle move.
Yes.
Your eye and see if you see any movement here from the other car.
And I did. I clearly see movement.
It's very possible.
Yeah, it's
It's very possible.
prosecution doesn't say there's contact.
If the whole case was how did the tail light get broken, you've got reasonable doubt right there.
Reasonable doubt, yes.
You've got reasonable doubt right there because you can't tell, but it's very reasonable to think that at that point you could have broken that tail light.
Yeah.
Okay. Wow. And that's defense evidence that we got our hands on. Great job. Okay. Today's hearing, anything else? Any other headlines?
So a lot of the matters were put off because they.
So there you go. And that's the video that to me shows her hitting the other car.
Right.
Now, it'd be interesting to see what if any, he says in a lawyerly manner, what if any damage was done to his vehicle as a result of that collision.
Yeah, and I did see somebody in the comment section say, well, did the same police officer go over to her house and collect the glass and then place it at the murder scene? No, there's no evidence of that. So, yeah, I would be curious to see what evidence is there. But then again, it was snowing. So I don't know if like I was in a private area. I don't know if someone shoveled away snow. I don't know what happened. It's just when it's snowing like that, evidence on the floor is going to be really difficult to find.
The prosecution wasn't quite ready, but the judge did take up a couple of things, mostly about preserving evidence. The defense wants to independently test the forensics here because of a deadline. The judge said yes. Also, the geofence location data of the cell phone of the victim, they want to preserve that. It wasn't done properly the first time. So the
geofence data for the GPS devices on the victim were not preserved properly the first time around.
It happens. It just keeps happening. It's just such a bad coincidence. It's really making the prosecution look bad with all these bad coincidences.
The judge is going to make the prosecution send the correct letter to Google. And then finally, this is big. The party goers at that house, the defense wants to subpoena their cell phones, Vinny, to see their text messages, their location data, to see this collusion theory of the defense. So the judge didn't rule on that, but he did allow the defense to require the prosecution to send formal letters, giving them notice to not delete anything on their cell phones they had at the time of this crime, because it may be handed over to the defense.
All right. And this is a great defense team, by the way. Alan Jackson just joined it as well, right?
Yes, celebrity attorneys.
Celebrity attorney, represented Kevin Spacey. Nothing happened to Kevin Spacey. You remember that? All right. Great job, Chanley Painter. State of Texas criminal defense attorney Carmen Rowe, and in Atlanta, Georgia, criminal defense attorney, law professor at Emory University, and Georgia Innocence Project board member Molly Palmer is with us. Okay, so this isn't a case where we're saying, hey, there's just a little doubt that you can prove this. This is a cover-up, a frame job by the police. Sue Ann, what are your thoughts? Is this a good theory?
I think it's a good theory. I think it's clear that the Boston Police Department investigating the Boston Police Department's possible involvement in a murder is a conflict. And if they didn't want there to be a conflict, they could have called outside agencies to.
That is absolutely correct.
Such a good point.
Investigate your own police officers, but make sure you ignore your best friend or one of your close friends or close acquaintances as a possible witness or a possible suspect even.
Yeah.
To come in and do an investigation and completely obliterate the defense's opportunity to have the argument that there's a conflict in the investigation. But they chose not to do that. They chose to investigate a death of their own on their own, which creates the opportunity for the defense to make that argument. And secondly, the issue with the defendant right now is that killing your boyfriend because you're upset with him or mad at him or having an issue in your relationship is a motive that the jury can sink their teeth into.
That's the prosecution. Oh, they were fighting, they were arguing, so therefore she killed him. They're saying that's something that the prosecution can use But
they're going to have a tough one with that.
yeah, but
something we're familiar with. It's harder to push the motive of the conspiracy and the police and what they're doing, and they put this stuff together and they planted the taillights. Even if it's true, it's harder for the average jury to sink their teeth into a motive like that.
Yeah, Carmen, what do you think? What does it take to get to the point where you are going to accuse the police of framing someone for murder?
It doesn't take much, Vinny. We see police officers charged all the time. We see them put their thumb on the scale and cheat to get the result that they want.
he
And
looks
you know
weirdly
what
like
tells
Michael
me that this
Jackson.
conspiracy theory is not completely out of whack is that they filed charges in this case so early when we have what, a tail light?
That's an interesting fact there. They charged her very quickly.
What the reason that they're saying that though is they're going based off her admission, because when she got out of the car and was giving him CPR, and as the emergency services were coming, she goes, "Did I hit him? Was it? Did I hit him?" And she was saying that a lot of that has to do with the women she was driving around with. Like, is it possible you hit him? Did you maybe hit him? Is he dead in the cold? What happened? So, yeah. So that's what they're claiming. That she could
have heard. I know we don't have all the evidence in, but I don't see anything to fill the gaps on the canvas that the defense is taking this prosecution to task about. So why would they file charges so quickly against her unless the fix was in with law enforcement? They wanted to make sure that she got charged, not one charge, but I think she has 3 separate charges, and she's now facing a trial, but I don't think they have enough to go forward. And I think the defense is putting them on Front Street about that.
Now, I just want to be clear. I'm not calling it a conspiracy theory. It's a theory of a conspiracy, right? Because I think there's some...
Say cover up. It sounds, it's a cover up theory.
Yeah, because I guess it's technically a conspiracy because conspiracy legally means like people working together, but
yeah, you can't say conspiracy theory anymore, or theory of conspiracy. You can't say that anymore.
Just use colloquial terms. Just say, I don't know.
Negative connotation when I say conspiracy theory, but it's a theory involving a conspiracy by these officers to frame Officer O'Keefe's girlfriend for murder. Molly Palmer, your thoughts tonight?
Well, I mean, in addition to what Sue Ann and Carmen have pointed out, both of which I think is really telling, right? We have this hesitation to bring in an outside jurisdiction of police to investigate their own. Obviously, this police homeowner is not a suspect. They quickly rush to charge Karen Reed. And then the defense is having to make motions to get evidence and discovery. If the prosecution was trying to be transparent, if the cops were trying to be as forthcoming as they possibly could about the evidence, hand over the evidence, send the proper preservation letter. The fact that the defense is having to fight to even get these things is just one more reason why I look at this and I don't see a conspiracy theory. I see power corrupting and police protecting their own. I think Karen Reed is innocent, and I can't wait to see what happens once the evidence is turned over and David Yannetti and his team, who are excellent, really get to ferociously defend this woman, who I think is part of a cover-up.
Yeah, she did say, I hit him, 3 or 4 times. Like,
that's all they have is her being frantic while giving him CPR, thinking maybe that like blaming yourself, as many victims do in any situation.
So there is that too. There's other evidence. There always is other evidence. There's evidence on both sides. But when I say we as the prosecutor, and Sue Ann as a prosecutor too, former prosecutor, we carry that burden. So we know we need more evidence than the defense has. All right.
Well, the defense doesn't really have to have any evidence there, bucko.
Yeah.
The defense doesn't have to put on any evidence, buddy boy. But see, I thought that was very, very interesting. And that's the reason we watched that. I don't know that I've ever seen a 4-person panel discussion on any legal TV, whether it's court TV or Law and Crime. All 4 people saying it looks like a cover-up.
Yes.
Nobody was saying the prosecution has a good case.
Well, even if he did have a good, like, he just keeps shooting himself in the foot too by looking sketchy. They're saying that they can't turn over any evidence until they've confirmed that the hair on the taillight was in fact John O'Keefe's hair. And the defense had asked, well, can you turn over the evidence not related to the hair in the meantime? And the defense said, no, everything's in the crime lab until everything is processed. And there's other crimes that have been processed in less time while this case is happening. This has been 15 months. So yeah, it's one thing about not having a case. It's another thing about not having a case and just completely obliterating the rules of professional conduct.
Well, and another interesting thing, I think, to me is purely anecdotal, and I mean, not really based in anything particularly concrete. Normally, when someone's charged with murder, bail is extraordinarily hard to come by. Either bail is denied, or if you live in a state where you are mandatorily entitled to bail, they'll set your bail at $3 million or something you're never going to come up with, which is essentially denying you bail. My understanding is she is out on a $50,000 bond.
Right. I mean,
that's it. Yeah.
The judge is not buying the prosecutor's case because, I mean, the judge is starting to grant things for the defense, such as the ability to find that dog. There
are people who have been involved in domestic violence situations or drug dealing that have had much higher bail put on them than someone who is allegedly murdering their significant other.
Right. There's a lot of factors to setting bail, but one of the main factors is how confident they are on the facts of the case and whether or not you're. So, yeah, and then also obviously likelihood to flee. And then,
I mean that's a big, the flight risk and things like that. But if I'm charged with murder, flight risk is always a possibility. But
I mean, why would she want to? If I were Karen Reed, there's no way I would want to even appear guilty. I would want to be fighting this every step of the way.
Yeah.
She walks into court with her shoulders back and her head held high because she knows she's innocent, and she cannot, in my opinion, she cannot wait to have this done with, to have her case in front of her. I'm sure most murder defendants can wait for court, would like to take as long as they can to deal with that. But I'm sure she's eager to have all of the evidence out on display.
Well, so that's what we wanted to do today, was to bring you on here. I know you're following this. You followed it from the beginning. It's one of your pet projects that you're dealing with, and I wanted to bring you on here to talk about this. And this is something we're going to continue to follow because I think it's fascinating. It's the lack of evidence that I've seen. So again, we're kind of at the beginning still. 15 months later, we're still at the beginning of the evidentiary disclosure phase and whatnot. We're still relatively early on. And I think this is something that definitely needs to be followed. There's a hearing coming up in the next couple of days. I'll comment on that one as soon as I get some more information. We'll continue to have you on. We'll have other guests on. We'll go over some of the court documents. I want to read through those. This is something that we can really sink our teeth into and develop as it goes along. And we'll definitely have you back to do this. What we want to do now is, again, make sure everybody goes to Lauren De Laguna's YouTube channel, subscribe to her channel, like her videos, especially the one where she interviewed me about 6-8 weeks ago. That's the important one. And the one she does about this as well, but mine especially. And if you haven't already done so, please hit the subscribe button for me. I would deeply, deeply appreciate it. We've got 480 of you watching now, 427 likes. So all the likes you can give also lets YouTube know that, hey, there's something interesting going on here, and it gets it out. We had our like and subscribe poll up. Let's see how we came out on that right now as we start to wind down just a little bit here. The poll was, did you remember to like and subscribe? Did you remember to smash the like and subscribe buttons as usual? 13% of you said, of course, guilty as charged. 20% of you said, I stand mute, but yes. 24% of you said faster than law and crime chat, saying guilty, but the overwhelming majority of you said you hit the like and subscribe buttons. 43% of you, in fact, said yes, beyond a reasonable doubt. Well, all right, we'll check on that at the end of the show. Again, that's just our cute little thing we do every day to remind you to hit the like button and to remind you to subscribe. So we'll continue to follow this as it goes along, as the case develops. And I mean, this is stunning to me, and it's almost a unicorn level of rarity to have someone be charged, and then in the middle of the process, before it goes to trial, the prosecution to say, oh, never mind, we made a mistake. We're gonna go after somebody else, probably one of the cops.
I mean, the prosecution is not doing that. Federal prosecutors are indicting people, or at least holding grand juries, but in investigating the Alberts house and the missing floorboards and the pool and all of that. But state prosecutors, like, she's guilty, so good luck with that.
Well, let's continue to follow this. Again, I'll be reading some of the documents. We'll be looking into this as it continues to go along. And thank you for bringing this to our attention.
Of course. Thank you for having me here to bring it to attention.